Last night I was dreaming, I was in my SUV, and I was feeling kind of empty because it has no DVD, so I filled it full of fossil from the bosom of the earth, which I burned up by the barrel on my long commute to work, where I worked at what I hated just to keep up with the bills. In our times, we seem trapped in between two very powerful forces. Our intuition tells us maybe we better slow down because we're destroying things at a very rapid and alarming rate. But our institutions incorrectly tell us, hurry up, look what we're creating, look how much money we're making. And my aim as a writer and a speaker and a filmmaker is to try and tilt the scales a little bit more in favor of intuition. We can have a higher quality of life if we begin to root the junk out of our economy. If we begin to root the junk out of our lives and say, let's go for the meat, let's go for the heart of this, and let's go for those things that actually meet human needs, and not things that are stuck in an old paradigm. And what I'm calling for here is a cultural revolution, because that's the only thing that ever works in the long run to change a civilization's path. That's all that works. And consumer disobedience, no thank you, I know what I want, and you don't really need to be telling me anymore, I can handle it. Anthropology is my word for policy based on what humans actually need. Biologic was my first environmental book, and Biologic is about designing with nature so that we're not fighting it. I think the kind of technology we want is inspired by nature and fits into nature like a hand fits a glove. And who can tell me what this is? It's Velcro, and a Scottish scientist was walking on the moors or whatever with his dog, and a burr stuck to his pants, and he looked at it under his microscope. He said, well, it's easy to see what causes this. We are learning how nature works, and rather than learning how nature works so we can tear it apart, we're learning how nature works so we can keep it together. We're following the directions that the culture issues us, but the problem is those instructions really can't build a sustainable society. So our mission, I believe, is to reprogram the software of civilization, nothing less. It's the software that will do it, not the gadgets, not just the wind generators and the hybrid cars. That's good. But even green overconsumption is overconsumption. I characterize it as a lifestyle support system that we're on right now. Each of our houses, each of our buildings is hooked up to wires and pipes and lines of credit and airwaves and stuff that we don't think we can live without. And the environment is just sort of, raw materials. I co-authored the book Affluenza, which became a bestseller. And for the last 10 years, I've been working and researching and writing on remedies to this very perplexing, all-consuming epidemic that sweeps away our values, our communities, our health, and the environment. When your time comes and your whole life flashes before you, is it going to hold your interest? You know? And isn't that what you're shooting for? I really think we need to move from material rewards, which have dominated our lifetimes, to social rewards. If, in fact, we're trying to get the material stuff to get the security, safety, and status, let's just go directly to that. Let's be the kindest person on the block, the person who knows the most about historical evolution of the country. Let's be people who are so engaged with what they're doing that they don't feel a need to be consuming so much. And that's my underlying motive. I'm not a moralist here. I'm a pragmatist. I'm saying we will not be able to continue at this level, so how do we learn to love it? What do you think?
Our table decided, no, we would not choose the money.
You would choose the time. Here's what the average American, how we spend our time. The typical American will spend 6 months of his life sitting at red lights, 8 months opening junk mail, 1 year searching for misplaced items, 2 years trying to return calls to people who aren't there, 4 years cleaning house, and 5 years waiting in line. There you go. Now you're getting old, you know. And what have you done? You've messed with your stuff. And can we figure out a way to? We went off the gold standard. Can we figure out a way to go off the stuff standard? I envision a society that can deliver twice the satisfaction for half the resources that we're now using. Comparing the U.S. to 14 European Union countries, we come out 15th in many of the things that matter the most. Our footprint is much larger, almost double of Germany's, for example. And that means that we are going to have to continue to be an aggressive country in order to feed our gratification, in order to feed our lifestyle. We use 30 acres per average American, and the wealthy use 75, 100 acres per lifestyle. And we only have, if you multiply the 300 million people times the 30 acres, that's 9 billion acres. And we only have 2.2 billion acres in this country. We forget. You know, I have the cloth bags, and sometimes I forget to take them to the car. In my neighborhood, we've made this pact that we're going to not use plastic bags anymore. And somebody admitted to me the other day that they snuck back with their cloth bag back to the car and put the groceries into the cloth bag so they wouldn't be seen with the plastic bag. I tell stories about projects and people who are changing the way we provide food, energy, products, and community. And this is my front yard, you know, and it's got strawberries rather than grass or anything else that I have to maintain a lot. And my payoff is the kids sneaking into the yard and stealing the strawberries. That's important. That meets a kid's needs for adventure. And so I'm looking out the kitchen window, and gardener of 30 years or so, you know, 15 years ago, I would have been the guy saying, hey, come on, could you kids be a little more careful with those strawberries? Now I just let these strawberries go. I let the kids trample them because that's my value. I live in a neighborhood that I help design and build, so many of the examples I use in my presentations actually come from my own neighborhood, people that I know from everyday life. We put 60,000 bricks down ourselves after living here 6 years or so with just a very plain-looking piece of concrete. 60 tons of bricks on 6 or 8 successive summer weekends. So we literally provided this nice walkway with sweat equity. It was because it was 98 degrees, and everyone in the neighborhood did something. So it stitched the neighborhood together aesthetically as well as socially. We have this timeless sense of being a species that cooperates, and as one anthropologist says, survival of the kindest is what brought us here. We nurture each other, but we've kind of forgotten that. So I've been very much on the path of anthropology. This is what a Chilean economist, Max Neff, N-E-E-F, sees as our life goals. This is what we're trying for. This is why we work the 100,000 hours, to get the money to go buy these needs. Gary Snyder says, in the next century, or the one beyond that, they say, are valleys, pastures. We can meet there in peace if we make it. To climb those coming crests, one word to you and your children. Stay together. Learn the flowers. Go light.